Reactions are pouring in after the Taliban militants took control of the Afghan capital Kabul. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged the Taliban and all other parties to exercise utmost restraint in order to protect lives. The European Council President Charles Michel wrote on Twitter that the security of the European Union staff and citizens was the bloc's immediate priority. Meanwhile, Russia says it is working with other countries to hold an emergency UN Security Council meeting on Afghanistan. Moscow says it does not yet recognize the Taliban as Afghanistan's new lawful authority. Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson said countries should not recognize the Taliban as the Afghan government. Mohammad Dawood Miraki is an academic, author, and expert on Afghanistan and joins us now from Chicago. Mohammad, welcome. How strong of a message do you think this sends out to other countries that are dependent on the United States for their security? That look, after 20 years that Afghanistan relied on the United States for its security, it did not achieve security during that period.
Well, it's the issue is this, that it should show a signal to the world that you cannot impose on countries your will. You cannot impose your system on other countries. You cannot, mold the country according to your values. I had said this for many years from the beginning of the invasion until today, that the United States is bound to fail in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is not a joke when they refer to it as a graveyard of empires, because Afghans are independent people. In particular, the Pashtun people have fought entire battle, at least until past 2 years. There were barely any commanders from other ethnic groups. The Pashtuns, who are the absolute majority, have fought against the United States and have brought the United States to the position that it was compelled to negotiate with Taliban. Before that, they used to refer to Taliban as terrorist organization or any other, adjectives in order to, for their own ends, of course. But when it came to the battlefield, when it came to the perseverance of the people, they stood their ground, and the consequences, of course, what we saw with our own eyes today.
And Mohammed, the Taliban say they will ensure security for everyone, including citizens and diplomats. Do you think that will be the case? And was it a wise or a good idea to show that picture in the presidential palace with, armed with machine guns and everything?
What they showed themselves in the presidential palace with machine guns and everything, they wanted to show us that this machine gun in their hand, simple machine gun, didn't do the job. Their will to their determination, their will to stand their ground did the job. But that was a symbolic thing. Remember, they were forced out from their position of authority, from their government. This was important to show to the world that even though 20 years ago you bombed with your B-52 and whatnot, you forced us out, today we came back, we got the place that we were forced out of by force. Again, it was not awarded to us, but we got it, we gained it, we earned it through our perseverance and strength. Furthermore, in regards to the security, Taliban, remember, if you look at the background of Taliban back in 1994 and 96 when they came about, they emerged as a group to put an end to the warlordism, to the anarchy, and to the to the thieves and highway robbers. And of course, at the current time, they're not oblivious of what's going on, what's the expectation in the world, and what's the expectation of the people, from the people in the country. Their job is to secure the dignity of the people, their well-being, their material well-being, as well as the security of the foreign personnel. I mean, diplomats, and of course, I'm quite certain, and there's no doubt in my mind that they're determined to establish security at all international or foreign compounds, making sure that their safety is ensured equally of the people. In fact, the reason they rushed into Kabul today was because there was a lot of looting got initiated, and there are a lot of disorder and a lot of insecurity, and they were forced by what they saw that the people's lives and property will be in danger, and that is why they entered Kabul and made sure that no such thing has taken place. And in fact, they ordered their special units from northern Afghanistan from Puli Khumri to come to Kabul and make sure that the money markets and other areas where the financial transactions taking place are secured and people properties are secured, and also instructed their personnel that if you go to people's houses, you're not allowed to enter. You have to knock at the door, make sure somebody comes out, and make sure you provide to them what they need in terms of security, whatever other needs they may have.
Okay, Mohammed, that sounds all very good and nice on the ground. Also, their slogans are encouraging. Yet, nevertheless, we've seen foreign countries, the international community, many of the international community, particularly in the West, have yet to recognize the Taliban and may not recognize the Taliban as the legitimate government of Afghanistan. How much of a problem do you think that will pose?
In a world where we don't live in a vacuum, so of course it will be a problem. But the people in the world need to know that the legitimate representative of the people of Afghanistan are the Taliban. Taliban would not have survived if they didn't have the support of the Afghan people. Just look at the provinces that they went to. Every province, one after the other, the population stood next to them and the government collapsed. The government, I mean, it's not too far back. If you go back, international community means nothing in the eyes of the Afghans, because to them, international community is superpowers that they came and installed the regime and killed Pashtuns for 20 years continuously. Well, of course, it will be a problem if they're not recognized, but that will not stop the Taliban from fulfilling their obligation to the nation, to the people. One is the rhetorical twist that they say, oh, they're not the representative of the Afghan people. If they're not the representative of the Afghan people, are those who are brought from the West and installed in Kabul with the force of B-52, they constitute the representation of our people? No. And of course, they lived in concrete bunkers throughout, bunkers, of course, and they didn't have the freedom to even walk out among their own people because of lack of security. If Taliban didn't have the popular support, trust me, it would not survive even for a year. But they had support of the population because they came from the population. They didn't come from another country and all the rhetoric that they usually try to concoct, that, oh, Pakistan was there and so forth, Pakistan did this. Pakistan doesn't have any influence. Of course, regional countries have influence because when you help an actor, but in terms of determining the future of Afghanistan, no one determines it but the Afghans themselves, because their blood that determine what has happened today. And I don't think any other explanation would be just or fair.
And Mohammed, just finally, with the anticipation, your anticipation and others, that during these past decades of insecurity, that you anticipate there will be security now, that the Taliban, if they and will most likely will come into power. Do you also anticipate that the Afghans that fled the country to return back to the country?
Even I believe it was a few months back, they even announced that those who served as translators for U.S. forces, not regular people, translators for the U.S. forces, and even that they, quote unquote, collaborated with Americans, if you repent your sins, you don't have to leave your country. This is your country. There is there is an amnesty to everyone. So please do not leave your country. That was an official announcement from the Taliban movement. And also, Taliban realized that they're an organization. They have their own capacity limitation. This country belongs to everyone. It does not belong to one political sect or one group. Whomever lives in this country and they have allegiances to this country, they are Afghans. And they have no place other than in Afghanistan. And Taliban always have said that, look, we need all you people when you're that are living outside, even as those people that have been living here for decades. They're even telling us to come and be part of the reconstruction of the country. And of course, those people who have actually overreacted and started running as if there was an inquisition or some other dreadful thing was happening, they overreacted. There's no need for anybody to be displaced. There is not going to be any kind of revenge campaign. There will be no targeting. There will be nothing else. This aim of the entire the movement has been, as far as I can tell and as far as I have studied them, for them to bring security, peace, and tranquility to Afghanistan. That is why they brought up the issue of Islam as a unifying knot, that we are Muslims in this country and we should have brotherhood and sisterhood, and there is no need for us to be afraid of each other. In fact, we are your servants. And that is the rhetoric they're trying to portray. And to a large extent, it's really a valid reality. And I don't think if we compare them to 1996, there was utmost emergency. 20 years have had a really serious learning curve, and they also realized their shortcomings then, and they realize what the expectation of the nation is, of the people are. And from a simple thing, you can say in that time they used to be opposed to XYZ, and nowadays they're making use of it. Internet, TV, whatnot, and educated people are among them. Educated women are associating with them from outside as well as within the country. So there should not be any boogeyman mentality or fear mongering that has been really part of the Western campaign. And of course, the West are not going to accept anybody that can serve them and be, just tell them yes, sir, and just bow to them. They will be acceptable. They will be Democrat. They will be, civilized, and anybody that realize and show them their self-respect and say that we are people, we have our own dignity, and then they tend to give them any kind of labels and demonize them. And of course, the media is very good. The Western media is very good in demonizing people all over the world, especially the Muslim world.
Okay, Mr. Meraki, thank you very much indeed for your time and your thoughts. Mohammed Dawood Dimeraki there, academic, author and expert on Afghanistan, joining us from Chicago.